returning to another episode of Rico Live. So if you thought the political chaos couldn't get any darker, you were wrong. The government is shut down. We're staring down an economic cliff right before the holidays, and honestly, this whole thing feels like a presidential breakdown. Let's talk about this shutdown, all right? Yes, we have now made it to the longest shutdown in U.S. history. And who is to blame? Look, this is not a both sides type of show. We are Democrat leaning, like The View, because we believe in the people. And right now, it is crystal clear who's holding our economy hostage. The Republicans, period. The Republican-controlled Congress passed bills that would fund the government, but only if they could sneak in a devastating blow, letting the Affordable Care Act premium tax credits expire. They are deliberately trying to raise healthcare costs for millions of Americans to satisfy their base. When Democrats say, no, we won't let you wreck people's healthcare, the Republicans say, fine, then no one gets paid. To every proud voter who wore that hat, waved that flag, and put that man in office, guess what? You wear that MAGA hat right to the food bank, because right now, your kids can't eat, your EBT card is not working, and your benefits are hanging by a thread because the very party you supported is playing political chicken with the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
Now say what now?
SNAP, the food stamps program.
I swear to God, I'm lying to you. I ain't got time to lie to you.
They've literally tried to fight in court to keep those benefits from 42 million recipients. Some of those 42 million recipients voted for this, okay?
I'm in 2 weeks. I'm done. You want to talk about regretting your vote?
I never thought I'd say that, but I regret my vote. I voted for Trump.
I voted for Trump, and I regret it now.
As a Hispanic, I voted for Donald J. Trump. Dude, I regret it so much, man.
I am regretting my vote for Donald Trump.
I voted for Donald Trump, and now I regret it.
A lot of people who were like me voted for Trump and have to account for that.
I regret voting for Trump.
So deeply regret my vote for Donald Trump.
I regret voting for Trump.
I was a dumbass, voted for Trump. It was the worst decision I ever made.
I've seen the light, and I got out of MAGA. A lot of us there have seen the light. We have deep regrets.
I feel guilty because I voted for Trump twice. I feel very guilty because I feel responsible. That's why he's still running.
I was with Trump for 9 straight years. I'm disappointed. I'm very disappointed in Trump right now.
Look, you can call yourself conservative, MAGA, independent, whatever you want. But when your kids can't eat, it shouldn't matter who you voted for. But it kind of does this time because you are a part of the problem. You're still suffering because of a broken system being driven by Republican chaos and cruelty. They are weaponizing your hunger to score a cheap political win against the poor. And as this disaster unfolds, the man at the top, the one responsible for signing this deal, is facing intense speculation about his own condition. There is relentless chatter online, which the White House refuses to directly address about his health. I'm talking about the rumor, the one you've heard, that he's allegedly wearing a bag to relieve himself.
It's a common thing to see. That right there looks just like the profile of a leg bag for a urinary catheter. Why would he have a urinary catheter? There's a couple of different reasons. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience treating geriatric patients just like the president. I've been out sick today, but everything's fine. I went to Walter Reed and got a perfect MRI. It could be just typical incontinence as the result of aging, which is a common thing to see happen where a person loses control of their bowel and bladder, not because of an illness, but simply because of getting older. Another reason to have a leg bag with incontinence is because of a stroke. You've lost the brain's connection to your bowel or bladder. And a third reason could be Alzheimer's and or dementia. Dementia pokes holes in all of the automatic behavior and awareness that's been built into your brain and your body since you were a child. Whenever I'm seeing a patient with dementia, regardless of how severe it is, a lot of times I can tell how far along the dementia process is based on whether or not the patient is aware of when they need to empty their bowel or bladder. So if he's wearing a leg bag, it could be he is simply not aware, or his nervous system is no longer communicating to his brain that his bladder is full and needs to be emptied. No matter the reason, it's a sign of clear physical and or cognitive decline. Like I've said before, I honestly think he has 5 to 7 months left with us when you look at all of his health issues and now all these symptoms and evidence showing up that he might also have significant cognitive issues or Alzheimer's, dementia, that sort of thing. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
The man is getting old, and his public appearances show signs of swelling, discoloration, and slumping.
About a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see you for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really?
You didn't see that?
You know, I have heard, it's sort of crazy, but last week I did numerous news conferences, all successful. They went very well, like this is going very well. And then I didn't do any for 2 days, and they said, there must be something wrong with him. Biden wouldn't do them for months. You wouldn't see him. And nobody ever said there was ever anything wrong with him, and we know he wasn't in the greatest of shape. No, I heard that. I get reports. Now, you knew I did an interview that lasted for about an hour and a half with somebody, and everybody saw that was on one of your competitors. I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over the weekend. They also knew I went out to visit some people at the club that I own, pretty nearby on the Potomac River. And no, I've been very active actually over the weekend. I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff. Well, it's fake news. You know, it's just it's so fake. That's why the media has so little credibility. I knew they were saying, like, is he okay? How's he feeling? What's wrong? I said, I just left. And it's also sort of a longer weekend, you know, it's Labor Day weekend. So I would say a lot of people know I was very active this Labor Day. I had heard that, but I didn't hear it to that extent.
And let us not ignore the obvious. He is old and he is dying. Dick Cheney, the former vice president, just passed away at age 84. This president isn't far behind that. A crucial question. If you're too old, if your cognitive functions are in decline, Biden.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
You should be required to take a cognitive test, an empathy test, and yes, a psychiatric test. The leader of the free world cannot have their finger on the nuclear button while exhibiting these kinds of physical and mental flags. You want to know what else is concerning? This president's soul. When he was asked if he worried about making it into heaven, he flippantly said, I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. I may be in heaven right now as we fly on Air Force One.
You had talked a couple weeks ago, you were doing an interview, and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
I mean, you know, I'm being a little cute. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven, but I've made life a lot better for a lot of people.
He said it so carelessly, so devoid of conviction. And you know, my friend Jay made a point. How can we trust a leader who speaks so flippantly about the very foundation of this country? America stands on "In God We Trust." Every elected politician should believe that and stand firm in it. If I ran as a Satanist and won the presidency, people would lose their minds. This lack of genuine moral compass combined with the political chaos fuels my theory. And wait, here's my theory, okay? Is this a man trying to break America's spirit before he goes? Because it's feeling real dark right before the holidays. Elon Musk helped him win with a special AI.
And it's pretty amazing, but he did that, and then he journeyed to Pennsylvania, where he spent like a month and a half campaigning for me in Pennsylvania. And he's a popular guy, and he was very effective. And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote-counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide, so it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So thank you to Elon. We got to get the senators elected, because we can take the Senate pretty easily. And I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House, right? Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
The votes weren't there.
And we got the World Cup, too. And, you know, it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there.
Did y'all just hear what this man just said?
Too. And you know, it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there.
He's always told on himself intentionally. And he's going to say that this was sarcasm, but it really wasn't.
But then they rigged the election, and now we won, so I'm going to be your president for the Olympics and for the World Cup.
The election was rigged and stolen from Kamala Harris. And the first time it was rigged too, let me tell it.
Too. And you know, it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there.
Even the crowd is looking like, did I just hear what I think I just heard?
But then they rigged the election, and now we won, so I'm going to be your president for the Olympics and for the World Cup. So, Johnny, thank you for the World Cup.
He knows that they can't prove it. Not right now, anyway.
You know, I got both of them. I got the Olympics, and I got the World Cup. And I said, you know, it's too bad. One was in 2026, and the other was in 2028. And I said, I won't be there. I won't be your president.
This type of shit is insane.
And everybody, thank you for the Olympics. We're going to have a great time. We have another thing happening. 250 years.
Oh, yeah. And another thing is happening. 250 years of America Foundation. 250 years of 4th of July will be 2026. So, yeah, of course they didn't want a black man in office or a woman in office while celebrating the 4th of July. They wouldn't have celebrated 4th of July and only would have celebrated Juneteenth.
And everybody, thank you for the Olympics. We're going to have a great time. We have another thing happening. 250 years.
He knows his time is limited. He only has a few more years to live. So he's decided to be as corrupt, chaotic, and destructive as possible before he dwindles. He's making everything a living hell for everyone. It's an endgame strategy of corruption and chaos, driven by a man whose mental and emotional capacity should be scrutinized daily with every test possible, especially before he can do any more irreparable damage. So, in the comments below, tell me, what do you think about my theory? Don't forget, like, subscribe, and stay tuned to The Truth. We'll be right back.
It's really bad.
Danielle Grant is starving.
I know, I'm trying to see if I can get some food. Because we literally don't have anything to eat today and tomorrow. So we're going to try to make ends meet, and we can.
Desperate for food, nowhere to go. Grant and many others got to the Hope Line today just to make an appointment to come back later in the week for food. Resources are slim, leaving 40% of Bronxites without money to feed themselves. Some still in shock.
You heard things before, but it's like, they're not going to let people starve. That's ridiculous, you know, but it's like, no, that's literally like what's happening.
We hope the food pantries maintain open, because if they don't stay open, I really don't know what we're going to do next.
We asked people their reaction to hearing that the Trump administration will partially fund the SNAP program. People say it's not going to do much. They have families to feed and already struggled at the end of every month when they were receiving the full amount.
Wow, not enough. At least it's something to hold on, but I think everybody's going to have to get a second job.
It doesn't really last the whole month. You know, probably like 2 or 3 weeks, and then by the last week you got to scramble to find, things.
This couple has 4 kids. The mom says pantries aren't always reliable.
They have limited supply, or by the time we get to the front of the line, then it's really nothing there. So it's hard.
She says she's holding on to faith. Meanwhile, others are worried hunger will drive crime rates up. We don't know how much money will be reloaded onto people's cards and when that will be. In Longwood, Lindsay Tanney, News 12, The Bronx.
And so, speaking of things feeling really dark right before the holidays, let's talk about the absolute Scrooge-like reality of a government shutdown during Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, what does Thanksgiving look like when you're a federal worker, furloughed, or working without pay? Is Christmas canceled? Is it too early to call? Well, for nearly 1 million federal employees and their families, Christmas isn't just too early to call. It's looking like it's already been canceled by decree of the grand old party. I know that's what GOP stood for. We're talking about people who are supposed to be protecting our national parks, inspecting our food, processing our tax refunds, our veterans who rely on services, all of them facing a holiday season with zero income or working for IOUs. They're not just struggling, they're drowning. These are the same people who, for the most part, voted for this system, believing it would work for them. Now their kids are looking at an empty Christmas tree while the president is busy playing a golfing Bob the Builder. It's like this administration wants to drain the joy out of everything.
Look, I don't want to make waves, but this whole Christmas season is stupid.
People are already struggling with rising costs, job insecurity, and just trying to keep their heads above the water. And now this. This isn't just a political tactic. It feels like an intentional act of cruelty designed to break the spirit of the American people. And it's sickening.
But I couldn't care less.
But wait, there's a silver lining for some. Remember when Inside Edition broke the story about this administration's billionaire friends stepping in to help? Oh, you cannot make this up. A billionaire friend, who was later revealed to be Timothy Mellon, a massive Republican donor, actually offered a staggering $130 million to personally pay for our troops if the shutdown continued.
Now say what now?
Let me say that again. A private citizen offered a staggering $130 million.
Tyler Perry said, "Not my goddamn money,"
to fund our military because the Republican-controlled government couldn't get its act together. Do you hear yourselves? This isn't charity. This is a dystopian nightmare. It's an admission of total, utter government failure when a single rich person has to step in because our elected officials are too busy playing political games with people's lives. Do you hear yourselves? This is not charity. This is a dystopian nightmare. What about the rest of the federal workers? What about the single mom who cleans government buildings, or the park ranger, or the FDA inspector? Are they supposed to rely on some billionaire's holiday spirit too?
Because I would get my money.
The whole situation exposes the fundamental flaw in the Republican approach. They want to dismantle government services, then they act surprised when everything falls apart, and then they expect private wealth to magically fix it. This isn't just about politics anymore. This is about human decency, and right now decency is a luxury this administration cannot afford, or perhaps simply don't understand. So no, Christmas is not canceled by some jolly old elf. It's being canceled by a callous, reckless administration and a party that cares more about political posturing than putting food on the tables of American people. We'll keep you updated on the appalling situation, and let me know in the comments how this shutdown is affecting you or your people you know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And we'll be right back.
Trump don't give a fuck. The president's supposed to think of something, then talk about it with the Senate and the Congress, pass a bill, and then do it. Trump don't give a